Now I can hear people moving around upstairs, so I'm gonna make this one brief. But well, we'll see how brief. So this has come out of the acetone, and the glue is mostly gone. I am putting aside the garnet for now. It's so small. I think maybe my hand muscles are a little fatigued, and I'm not as steady with my hands as I'd like to take on something this small. So I'm going to go ahead and just stash it back back from whence it came, and get back to it at another time. Go ahead and also put away the dop that I was going to work with for it, the small dop. Now this dop holder is just made out of packing foam that happens to be a pretty good consistency. I am not a handy person. This is all new to me. But someone shipped me something, actually shipped me this beautiful base. That's a whole other story of the actual purchase of this V2 from someone, third hand. Anyway, he packed it well in this stuff, and I said, well, that stuff looks like it could really make a good dop holder. Anyhow, so I made one out of that. Not very exciting. Okay. Now, I don't know if we talked about this. This is the dop transfer jig. I ordered this from the Graves company. This is a cheap transfer jig as they go. The one from Ultratech is $200, so I wasn't that fond of that idea. Anyhow, in case you were wondering what that weird looking thing there was, what I think I'm going to do is attempt to dop this again. Now, one of the things I'm waiting on is some putty. Now, why don't I just go to the store and get some dang putty? Well, because everything I do is by mail, because I have a lot of things that I do. So I just place an order for a bunch of different things and then wait for them to come, because I've got other things to do than to go to a hardware store and poke around and find putty. So I believe now we've got two dops sitting here. All right, so this dop is actually, this is a V-dop, and this is the one I was looking at for this stone here. So I'm going to put this back here, and then this is the dop that's about the right size and shape for our amethyst. And so let's see if I can do this without doing something incredibly stupid. Of course, if I did, then that would be, I guess that would have entertainment value. I tend to improvise, if you haven't figured that out by now, and I just noticed that that groove there is a nice little ridge to put the gem in, because this thing that I sometimes use instead of putty, until the putty comes, it doesn't have a big enough hole. So I might stick the gem right there. This is all sacrilege. You're supposed to be incredibly careful when you dop. I think you have to be more careful depending on how expensive the gem is and how much you care. So this gem is essentially, as I said, close to valueless. It's pretty, but it's very, very cheap. And also, as we discovered, very flawed. So I don't care that much. And also it's a pretty simple round design. So I'm going to simply split infinitives. I'm going to take I'm going to take a tube of super glue, and I'm going to just try to do what I did before. Oh, well, no. First I'm going to get some alcohol. For those people who say, well, why didn't you show us everything you were doing? Now people are going to say, why did you show us absolutely everything that you were doing? That was boring. Okay. Can't please everyone. You can tell I run another YouTube channel that has nothing to do with this stuff, because I have some sense of what people say about things. Actually, people are generally very kind. and recognize that we're volunteering our time here, that this is not a money-making proposition. Okay, so I'm going to take some alcohol on a paper towel and wipe down the surface of the stone where it's going to be dopped specifically on that surface. I wish I had 3 hands for purposes of videoing. I suppose there are probably jigs and clever setups you can do with the camera, but I'm not going to bother for now. So cleaned the gem so that that's evaporating now. And then also we'll want to clean the dop, the surface of the dop, which as you can see has some ridges on it, which I assume is to create some space so that it's not a perfect bond, because you're going to want to break the bond later. And if the bond is perfect, that's going to be harder. It's going to be harder to get solvent in there. So I assume that's why it has ridges there. Some people put cornstarch in their glue in order to help the solvent penetrate it for when the time comes when you're going to break the bond. You're going to break the bond twice. Once when you transfer from the dop that holds the crown part while you work on the pavilion to the dop that holds the pavilion while you work on the crown. And I think we've probably adequately cleaned this in the alcohol soaked paper towel. Okay, nice and clean, maybe. And now I'm going to put a few drops of this super glue. Oh boy, we're already past 7 minutes. Okay, I'm going to put a few drops of this super glue, and really I'm really taking a bullet for y'all, because I could easily glue my fingers together, and that would be fun. That'd be fun for everyone to watch. Everyone would enjoy that. I'm putting just a little bit of super glue right in what I see as the more or less dead center of the stone. Like I said, a more expensive stone, a smaller stone, and you really need to get more careful and scientific and measure this. But for this, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, which is, well, okay. And then take the dop, and so on the dop jig, this is basically what happens, except everything's held in place and it's carefully controlled. So here we're doing it without that care and control, other than that I'm going slowly and I'm introducing the gem to the dop. Hello dop, hello gem. And as you can see, the super glue doesn't dry immediately. You have some time to kind of move it around and eyeball where it stands in relation to the edges of the gem. And in a little while, it will dry in place. Okay, let me stop this before it'll become impossible to upload.